The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers for April 13th through April 17th promise a week packed with danger, desire, and shocking fallout. At first glance, it looks like love is winning. But underneath the romance, everything feels unstable. Secrets are building, suspicions are growing, and more than one character may be heading straight toward disaster without even seeing it coming. So let's get into the biggest twists ahead on The Bold and the Beautiful. Because this may not be just another dramatic week. This could be the week everything starts to fall apart. One of the most intriguing developments this week is the idea that Taylor and Deacon are being watched during an intimate moment. That single detail changes the emotional temperature of their entire story. Because once a relationship is being observed from the shadows, it is no longer just a romance. It becomes a target. Of course, the most obvious suspect is Sheila. That is exactly why this works so well. Sheila is the person everyone would blame first, especially if Taylor and Deacon suddenly find themselves dealing with fear, sabotage, or emotional chaos. Sheila has the history, she has the obsession, and she has every reason to struggle with watching Deacon move on with another woman. But what makes this even more interesting is the possibility that the show may want fans to assume Sheila is behind it when someone else could actually be pulling the strings. That would create a much smarter kind of danger. If Taylor and Deacon are attacked emotionally or manipulated in some way, and all roads seem to point to Sheila, then the real enemy could stay hidden while Sheila takes the blame. That possibility adds a layer of suspense this story badly needs. Because if it is only Sheila again, then the conflict feels familiar. But if someone new is targeting Taylor and Deacon, or using Sheila's reputation as cover, then this romance could become far more unpredictable. And that matters, because Taylor and Deacon are at a fragile point. They are trying to move forward as a real couple. They are trying to ignore the doubters. They are trying to turn one interrupted romantic moment into the beginning of something serious. But if they already have enemies circling them, then their relationship may be tested before it even has a chance to breathe. If Sheila is involved, then this week may become a test of identity as much as obsession. She has talked about wanting to be different. She has tried to present herself as more evolved, more controlled, less dangerous. But The Bold and the Beautiful loves to ask one brutal question. Can someone really change when the emotional trigger is strong enough? Watching Deacon grow closer to Taylor may be exactly the kind of trigger Sheila cannot survive calmly. That is why this story works whether Sheila acts or not. If she lashes out, then the show proves that her darker instincts were only buried, not gone. But if she does not act right away, that may be even more suspenseful. It would mean Sheila is holding everything in. And with a character like her, silence can be more frightening than action. Because the longer Sheila tries to contain herself, the more explosive the eventual fallout could become. This is why Taylor and Deacon should not feel safe just because nothing has happened yet. On this show, danger often builds quietly before it erupts. And if Sheila feels humiliated, replaced, or emotionally erased, then her next move may not be impulsive. It may be personal, it may be calculated, and that would make it far worse. Another major storyline this week centers on Daphne and Carter, and this may be one of the most emotionally serious plots on the canvas right now. At first glance, this looks like a simple fertility concern. Daphne is not pregnant yet. Carter is trying to stay positive. They both want a future together, and they want that future to begin now. But soaps rarely build this much concern around timing unless something bigger is coming. That is why Daphne's anxiety feels important. Her fear may not just be about impatience. It may be about intuition. It may be the kind of emotional warning sign that tells viewers something is wrong before any doctor says it out loud. If Daphne sees a specialist, the story could go in several painful directions. The most obvious is infertility. That alone would be a major emotional test for this marriage, especially if Carter keeps trying to stay hopeful while Daphne starts feeling broken or betrayed by her own body. That kind of pain can quietly change the dynamic between two people, even when they love each other deeply. But the more dramatic possibility is that infertility is only the first symptom of something much worse. If a medical shock is behind Daphne's struggle to conceive, then this story could become a crisis not just about motherhood, but about survival. And that possibility instantly raises the stakes. Because now the question is no longer whether Daphne and Carter can have the life they imagined. The question may become whether they are strong enough to face a future they never expected. RJ and Electra may be stepping into official romance territory, but even this sweeter storyline comes with tension underneath it. RJ seems ready. He wants clarity. He wants definition. He wants to call this relationship what it is and move it forward. But wanting certainty too quickly can create pressure, even in a promising romance. That is where Ivy may become unexpectedly important. If she encourages RJ to lock things down, that may sound supportive on the surface. But it could also push him into forcing a moment instead of letting it happen naturally. And on a soap, even a loving nudge can trigger insecurity, hesitation, or misunderstanding. Electra may care deeply for RJ, but that does not mean she wants to be cornered into a label before she is fully ready. So the real question is not whether these two have chemistry. It is whether they are moving at the same emotional speed. If they are not, then what should be a happy next step could become the first real crack in the relationship. The Dylan and Will story may end up being one of the most quietly explosive arcs of the week. Will may plan something romantic, something magical, something that pulls Dylan even deeper into his world. And that is exactly why the guilt in this story matters so much. Because guilt becomes more dangerous when the person you are deceiving is actually good to you. Dylan already knows too much. She knows about Ivy's manipulation, and she is keeping that truth from Will. That means every romantic moment between them is built on a secret. So if Will gives Dylan a perfect night, if passion grows, if intimacy follows, then the emotional cost of her silence gets heavier. And that is where the story gets strong. Dylan is not just hiding information. She is actively choosing love over honesty. She is deciding that keeping Will matters more than clearing his view of the people around him. That kind of choice never stays quiet forever. It always comes back, and when it does, the betrayal feels worse precisely because the relationship seems so warm before the truth came out. So while this may look like a romantic week for Dylan and Will, it may actually be the week their future becomes more fragile than ever. No week on The Bold and the Beautiful is complete without the Logan sisters bringing emotional fire, and Brooke and Katie may be ready to clash again. What keeps this rivalry effective is that it never feels like a simple argument. It always feels like years of resentment waiting for the right sentence to explode. And that is what may happen here. If Brooke and Katie unleash their anger again, the fight probably will not just be about one issue. It will be about judgment, loyalty, old patterns, and the frustration of watching each other make the same mistakes over and over. That is why Logan conflict always lands. These women know exactly where the emotional wounds are, and they know how to hit them. So even if this starts with a disagreement, it may quickly become something much more personal. The week of April 13th through April 17th looks like one of those classic Bold and the Beautiful stretches where romance, fear, and secrets all move at the same time. Taylor and Deacon may be stepping into danger without knowing it. Daphne and Carter may be facing a life-changing shock. RJ and Electra could be heading toward pressure instead of peace. And Dylan may be falling deeper into a love story that cannot survive the truth forever. That is what makes this week so compelling. The highs feel real, but the lows may already be on the way. Let me know in the comments which storyline you think is the most explosive. Is Sheila about to snap? Is Daphne heading toward heartbreaking news? Or is Dylan's secret the one that could do the most damage? And if you want more bold and the beautiful spoilers and deep drama analysis, stay tuned, because this story may be only the beginning.